Sharks! What would April be without them? I mean, I feel like I do something shark related every April. Like it didn't start off as a thing, but I guess it's kind of become one now. And this time I'm bringing you 10 more really insane shark movies, and this one really goes the distance here with some bizarre versions of our favorite finned killer. So let's dive right in and see how goofy this can get. Number 10. This one is from 2022, and it's the Tubi original film, The Shark Side of the Moon, which tells us that back in the 80s, a group of Russians created smart sharks that are also kind of humanoid, and they get loose and go on a rampage, and the scientists, who, by the way, start speaking English as soon as things get crazy and kind of lose their accents, they want to get rid of them, so they launch them into space. It's then present day, although I guess a present day in which we're launching some future rocket into space, but when one of the crew is ill, they have to get an alternate. So I guess they go with this guy with a less than stellar reputation. And on the way, they get knocked off course. And I don't know why I loved this part, but I did. In order to avoid crashing, they follow that classic IT method of turning the ship off and then back on again. They crash on the dark side and go outside in what is some of the silliest green screen work that I've seen in a while, and are attacked. But thankfully, the Russian is still here, along with a daughter that apparently has a shark's fin. Seems there's a colony of the shark hybrids that want to go home, while the Russian and his shark hybrid daughter oppose them. Hey, wait a minute, did that guy bone a shark? And everyone is just trying to get to Earth. And as mentioned before, this was a movie made for Tubi and was directed by Glenn Campbell. And it's only his third directing job, and he's been in the industry for decades. His first credit was actually on 1979's Star Trek The Motion Picture, and has done a ton of visual effects for movies like Life Force, Tron, and shows like The X-Files and Buffy. And it seems like in recent years, though, he's settled into working pretty constantly for The Asylum. And I don't know, perhaps visual effects aren't really his forte anymore. And it's pretty entertaining. It's not like good or anything, but it does have its charms. Number 9. You can't make a crazy shark list without at least one Polonia jammer, and it's 2022's Sharkula. It starts off with MP regular Jeff Kirkendale as Dracula being staked and then eaten by a shark, of course. And then, in modern times, these two guys get a job at a marina at a place called the Bucket of Chum, where Renfield is working, and yep, there's a vampire in the basement, and Jamie Morgan is here as well, and Sharkula is pretty hilarious. He looks like he's wearing a little cloak, and can also fly when he attacks because he turns into a shark bat. Drac is still around though, and what's wild in this one is that I guess he got a hold of some stock footage of a woman doing a fire dance, and I'm not sure why it's cut in here. Oh, but it is a lot. Everyone in the town is under the Count's sway and are analogs of the classic tale characters like Mina, and Drac has some sort of accent that I'm really not sure where it's from.
Ah, gentlemen, pleasure to meet you.
And Rennie and Meanie both have their own agendas, and here's the thing, you know that I'm a sucker for Polonia films. Like, I completely understand if you're not. There's just a certain amount of backyard charm here that I can't help but love. And that being said, this is about what I would expect, although it's a touch more restrained than some of his other ones, but it does take some oddball turns at the ending that I just really didn't see coming. And I love this shark with the Dracula cape. That visual alone is worth the price of admission. Number 8. Let's go for a different type of crazy right now with 2020's Sky Sharks. And the opening has a whole plane full of people, including this guy, you know this guy, and also Lynn Lowry, Shang Tsung, a telekinetic girl, and they're all attacked by flying sharks with Nazis on their back. But not just any Nazis, nope, zombie Nazis. Oddly enough, not the worst kind of Nazis, since those are the living ones. They kill everyone, and then there's an expedition down in Antarctica, or, well, you know, against the green screen, and they come across the Nazis' base, where Diablo here is injected with some sort of chemical before escaping. And we get flashbacks to the Second World War, where they're developing the zombies riding flying sharks program, and Richter here was a part of it, and only survives because of his own formula. And Tony Todd pops in for a minute, as does Marcy Darcy, and yeah, this one is definitely less shark-oriented and more Nazi-oriented, but the flying invisible sharks are a big part of this one, and there may be a case of being a little too late to hop on the trends. Like a few years earlier, Iron Sky had already done that whole sci-fi Nazi thing and an excess of green screen thing, and the silly sharks with celebrity cameo shtick had already been done to death with Sharknado. And I wish that I liked this one a little bit more. Like, it seems like it's gonna be some crazy silly fun based on like the first 10 minutes or so, but then it just kind of wanders around, and for like the next hour or so is basically just people talking about the zombies and sharks with some occasional news footage of them attacking. The ending ramps things up a bit, and yeah, there's definitely some wild and fun stuff happening, and some over-the-top practical effects to go with the sketchy CGI ones, but I wish that the sharks were featured a bit more. Like, they come into play for the finale, for sure, but for a movie called Sky Sharks, they're not as big of a threat as you would hope. Number 7. Alright, I said I wouldn't do it, but I guess I'm gonna do it. We're talking about DICKSHARK from 2016. And the movie begins, and good God, I don't know how I'm going to even have any footage to use here that doesn't violate YouTube's policy, but it starts with a couple about to do the deed, and the man shows up with a very penis-looking shark, or I suppose shark-looking penis, coming out of his pants. He says it's gilled for her pleasure, so am I to think that this is some sort of condom? Like, they try to have sex, and this is fairly explicit without, I guess, being like a full-on sex scene or whatever. And I'm not sure what happens or how, because it's vaguely unclear. And the shark separates from the man and dives into the toilet. Then we see Bill here, because this is another Bill Zabub film, and I covered another one of his in an earlier video about weird Santa Claus movies. And I've seen several of his films now, and they're all the same, so let me recap it if you're unfamiliar. His movies tend to feature short vignettes that generally star himself with naked or half-naked women talking about various subjects, usually religion or politics and such. And those are intercut with what amounts to Suicide Girl shoots set to Cookie Monster metal, and I guess drone footage shots. So I guess that the so-called plot here is that Dick has created a cream that was supposed to be a penis enlarger, but it resulted in the creation of the DICKSHARK, which then grows and grows. And I'm regretting this because, like, you're going to be able to see such a small amount of the actual movie here. But as I said in that previous video, if you're familiar with Zabub's work, then you know what to expect. Like if you saw me discuss Santa Claus, a horror story previously, and were like, this looks odd, let me check this dude's stuff out. Well, this is that again. So do with that what you will, I suppose. Number 6. After that one, I need a touch of a palate cleanser, so this next one is distinctly less insane, and it's 2022's MANEATER from writer-director Justin Lee, who I encountered a while back with the Bigfoot movie, Big Legend. It immediately starts off with a dude being chomped, and then Jessie and her friend Sunny are on vacation, along with the guy who made Mandy Moore cry, and country singer Trace Adkins is here, who is actually a producer on the film, and his daughter is Et. The friends all head on a boat for a fun excursion, and the lawnmower man pops in, who informs them that this is no ordinary shark. This one isn't killing for food, it's doing it for fun. And here's a weird little tidbit. This actor's name is Alex Farnham, and first up, he's one of the producers on the film. Second, he's basically just Peter Brady. But finally, his character's name is Ty Burrell. Yeah, like the actor Ty Burrell. I don't know why they named him that, but he's not supposed to be famous actor Ty Burrell, which, by the way, is not like some common name that is just like, whoops, what a coincidence. So, but I'm not sure what the whole point there is. When their captain is munched, they're left on their own, and their numbers are whittled down before leading to a final showdown with the big CGI guy, although there's a couple of shots that look like a shark head puppet that sticks out quite a bit. And yeah, like the other Lee films I've seen, this one looks pretty nice and all, but it's pretty much the opposite of an insane shark movie. It's a mild shark movie, like it's Diet the Shallows, really. Like there's nothing about it that's inherently terrible, but it's just never really that good. But hey, after Dick Shark, some mild seemed in order, and weirdly, just like that Bigfoot movie I covered previously, this one ends with a clear setup for another movie.
This fish took down a boat.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna need a bigger one.
Get it? Number 5. It's always fun to see how the rest of the world interprets insane shark stuff. So let's go to China to watch Land Shark from 2020. And honestly, I could do an entire episode just on weird international shark movies. And this starts off with a dad and son witnessing a massive, scaly dinosaur shark fly through the air and crawl into the trees nearby. It then flashes back to an underwater, deep blue sea kind of lab, and they're doing, oh gee, what a surprise, DNA modification on animals in order to cure diseases, which just so happens to result in bigger, badder sharks, like they always do. There are moments that are straight out of the Meg, like the inclusion of this little girl, and then rips a bit off of Jurassic Park by having it be pregnant even though it was male because, life finds a way. And of course, it breaks the glass and starts to attack. And for a movie called Land Shark, this is all in the water. But finally it does make it to land and kind of digs through the ground, and it turns out to also be bulletproof. And it's pretty crazy because, yeah, this is somewhat weird because of the very nature of it. But honestly, it's not much different than most of the sci-fi shark flicks. Like, the biggest difference is that it has a reported budget of $2 million, which is probably around 10 times as much as any of those, but also doesn't really look it. So yeah, again, much like the Meg, it first attacks the underwater facility before heading to a populated area in China, although it's now even Meg-sized, and it's a decent watch if you're not really expecting anything too original or clever. Number 4. Now we move on to 2021's Shark Huntress, which begins with a shark attack, and Sheila here, whose mother has gone missing. And she was an environmentalist and heads out with some others to try to find her last known location. And I'm not sure, but I have a suspicion that English is a second language for everyone here. At least I think. I mean, that may be me being charitable, I don't know.
Are you sure, Estine, is that my mother is okay?
I'm not really sure. I kind of have this sixth sense.
But meanwhile, the shark is, I think, attacking people. I'm not sure. I mean, if you can tell me what's going on here through this editing, then please go right ahead. It turns out that her mother was indeed killed by the shark, but amazingly, Sheila is able to cry without shedding any actual tears. And oh boy, this is by John Riggins, and this is his first film. And it seems like he wanted to make a trashy shark flick, but then also try to make it kind of dramatic. And then also put in an environmental message. But I gotta tell you, I'm getting Birdemic vibes here, except it's not quite as funny. Just like that movie, this one has a bunch of scenes of people sitting around talking about how the environment is in trouble and ways to save it. Like, it's very clear that these segments were the reason why he made the movie in the first place. And yeah, it's something. Like, there's a scene where they're looking for information in a shop and they talk to this guy, but they also buy something and they take the time to show us the entire transaction. And listen to this.
Yeah, there was an American girl here with some of her buddy or boyfriend. She was asking about the great white shark.
And okay, I'm gonna try to piece this together. Sheila is only with one guy. There's no one even waiting outside. So here's what I'm guessing happening here.
With some of her buddy or boyfriend.
Originally, there was supposed to be another character here with her, but for whatever reason, like the other actor was unavailable or whatever, they changed the script. But I'm thinking this actor knew the script and the line was some of her buddies. But when they only had the one guy, they changed the line to her boyfriend. And the guy started to go with the earlier version before realizing it mid-line and changing it, and they didn't do another take. That's my theory. And it's so weird because it switches from stuff like this.
Hey, dude.
Hey,
Thank you. You're cleaning up the beach.
Somebody has to do it. Plastic grows quicker than mushrooms in forest.
But then he just gets eaten, so it's not even like it's a whole, well, we're destroying the waters, so the ocean is fighting back. Because the message here is, clean the ocean, get ate. And yeah, it's terrible. And there's just so little going on. The Huntress of the title hasn't even done any hunting yet, and we're halfway through the movie. And I'm gonna call something else out here.
They can't trace our current location, but they can get to the homeland. I swear this only happens in B-rated movies.
See, right there, you know that it's a dumb plot point, so instead of actually writing something better, you just go, oh, we're just gonna say that we know it's dumb. And that's just lazy. And the fact that you called it out lets me know that it's not just lack of skill and like, oh, I didn't know any better. You knew! You were just too lazy to write something else. So, yeah, this one's kind of worse than usual, and I have to say, it's not even really that fun. Number 3. For this next one, I'm not even sure how I'm going to explain it, but it's 2021's Bigfoot versus Megalodon. So this is in 4045, and it's got the future humans teaming up with aliens to defeat other aliens, but then there's Megalodon, who was created in, what else? Nazi experiments, and it's this half-human, half-shark thing, and is being used by alien Joseph Stalin and alien Aleister Crowley. Like, you got that? And Bigfoot is here, and okay, this is a sort of sequel to the previous films, Bigfoot versus the Illuminati, and Trump versus the Illuminati, and it's entirely computer animated, and Bigfoot talks, and this is the voice that they gave him.
Been meaning to talk to you about that, princess.
About what, exactly?
The rations. We're really running low down there.
There's an inordinate amount of conversation based around two soldiers that want to have sex and discuss it like non-stop, and there's just a lot of talking here, like lots and lots of it. Like, this movie's not too long. It's an hour and 10 minutes, and the first like half of it is just people in rooms talking. Nothing really happens. And I guess this is like a special effects showreel in a way, and it's the work of BC-14, I guess otherwise known as BC Fertney, and also Christopher Maitland, who apparently went to the same film school that I did and around the same time too. But either he left before I started there, or we just didn't have any classes together. And I can't say that I'm too on board with this, because it's honestly a bit on the dull side, and this list is pretty heavy with genetically altered sharks that were part of a military experiment. And this is the second one here with a man-shark hybrid. Like he's kind of not a shark, I guess. I mean, he's definitely not a megalodon because he's not much larger than the human characters, and it's a little tedious to get through. And here's the kicker. Bigfoot and Megalodon don't actually even fight in this movie. Number 2. I probably shouldn't do this, but what the hell. It's 2021's Noah's Shark. Yep, that's right, by Mark Polonia. Yep, I am doing 2 Polonia jammers in this list because this list is insane shark movies, and MP knows how to do it. We saw Kirkendale as Dracula, and now he's back as a priest doing an exorcism.
That's right. Spank the devil out of me!
And I love it already. And oh my god, this has to be seen to be believed. There's a demon shark who talks to Noah's son to sneak onto the boat, even though there's already 2 on there, and it leads to betrayal. And Noah's beard is just amazing. Meanwhile, in present day, Father Benna finds what he's told is a piece of the actual ark. And there's a dude in a red cloak with a mask, and except for that flashback, so far there's very, very little shark. But there's also this guy who's trying to make a TV show out of their Noah's Ark wood and the ghost stuff. And you know, what I love about Poloni's flicks are how serious they take things, and how he takes these ridiculous concepts and then treats them mostly seriously. But in this one, it has more humor in it than usual. But it's not making fun of itself. It's not falling into the trap of, oh, how terrible can we make this, and just make our excuse that we're making a terrible movie. Ha ha. No, it's actually just that there's more jokes in here than normal, and they work. It's funny.
We warned you about the cursed place.
Oh, I just had this car detailed.
And of course, Jamie Morgan is here. But you know, between the two movies on this list, there's no Ken Van Sant. And they head off in search of the full arc, heading to Iran, which looks coincidentally a lot like the Northeast US, and it's silly and kind of fun, but I will say for a movie called Noah's Shark, there's very little water involved and not a lot of shark action. It does come into play during the finale though, emerging from a lake, which is because he's a demon shark, of course, and I'll say that it's not my favorite Polonia flick, but I still enjoyed it. Number 1. And now our number 1 movie here. Let's check out the one that knows what it is and is just gonna embrace it, and it's 2019's Bad CGI Sharks. It starts with a woman being killed in her bedroom, and I guess a ghost shark with glasses. Then there's a backstory about 2 brothers that grew up wanting to make a movie about a killer shark, and it's Matthew and Jason. And Jason is like a bit of a moron, and they're played by real-life brothers who also wrote and directed the film, and when they decide to finally make their movie masterpiece, they're soon chased by an actual shark floating through the air. And it chases them around while there's some kind of iffy attempts at comedy. And then there's also this kind of magical director guy who is sort of magic and talking to the audience, breaking the fourth wall. And the shark has, I guess, been summoned by his magic clapboard and takes a wild turn when that shark emerges with the internet. Which, yeah, this was a few years ago, but now we know what happens when you mix AI with the internet, and hoo boy, it is not a good thing. It spawns some sillier cartoon sharks, and there's a mixture of some really dumb comedy that falls flat, and some good stuff, like the bad CGI shark having trouble attacking because it's taking time to render. And yeah, it's kind of charming. Like, this was obviously made on a really low budget. It's basically a backyard movie. And of course, it only works some of the times, but I have to say that the stuff that works is pretty damn enjoyable. And I'm sorry guys, but I think that possibly some leads who are a bit stronger with comedic chops could have carried this a little more. Like the brothers are good, but I think perhaps a bit stronger with writing and the technical stuff than being in front of the camera. Now, don't let that come off as a slam like me saying that they're bad actors, because honestly, they're not bad at all. It's just that these kind of lovable deadbeat characters are a bit tricky to pull off and still come off as charming. That's a bit tough, and they don't quite pull it off. It's definitely worth a watch though, but the sharks are absolutely a big part of the action, more than a bunch of the other ones on this list actually, and I recommend checking it out. So there you have it, 10 rather insane shark movies, some more insane than others, and there was a lot of fun in this one. There was a couple of clunkers, but for the most part, this was a pretty fun list to watch. There's some good stuff going on here. Let me know if you've seen any of these or heard of any of these, or let me know also of other crazy shark movies you may know about that I haven't covered yet. Put those in the comments down below, because you know I want to watch them. I want to see more crazy shark movies. Let me know if you enjoyed this video as well. If you did, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you enjoy what you see on the channel, hit the bell if you want notified when there's more videos coming out, and maybe go to my Patreon page at patreon.com/movietimelines where you can help support this channel. You're also supporting it just by doing what you're doing, just by watching the videos, which I do appreciate, and I'll see you very shortly for another great one. Thanks guys, and bye-bye.